This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West podcast with your hosts, Brandon Cook, Nick Harrington, and Travis Foch.
Well, it's officially March. It's March 1st, but in the last 2 days, something crazy has happened. The Grand Rapids Griffins have already clinched a spot in the Calder Cup Playoffs. The earliest the team has ever done it in franchise history, and the earliest a team has done it in the AHL since 1993. An incredible achievement. Absolutely wild to think that the ticket is punched already, and based on the conversation with the guys last night, they are not satisfied with that. There's no brake pedal. They are all gas, no brakes. They're going to continue to try to do what they're doing. They want to win it all. They want to win the trophy. I've actually heard the trophy mentioned suddenly now. Like, it is all gas towards the Calder Cup, but man, does it feel good to have that ticket punched this early.
It was inevitable.
It really was.
It was going to happen at some point. It took a little longer than what we thought with the way things played out. But 1993, how old were you in that?
I was born in 93, bro. Like, that's the first time in my lifetime, essentially, that has happened.
Such a baby.
That's insane. Shut up. The true baby of the show is not here with us again today. Travis is playing hockey instead of talking about hockey, so that's fair. We'll respect that. But welcome back to the Hockeytown West podcast, everybody. Your source for everything Grand Rapids Griffins and Toledo Walleye hockey. And we've got a ton to talk about this week. Obviously, the Griffins clinching playoffs will be a topic of discussion. We've got 3 games to talk about where one was wild, one was disappointing, and one was just a straight up beat down by the Grand Rapids Griffins. So exciting stuff to talk about there. Before we hop into all of that, though, we just want to say, if you're not yet, please make sure you hit subscribe and follow wherever you're listening to the show. Add us to your MySpace top 8. Wait, that's not a thing anymore. But please just make sure, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button and hit like on the show. Leave us a comment. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you think this upcoming playoffs is going to look like for the Griffins. Let us know your thoughts on what the Red Wings look like. Are they making the playoffs? Do you expect some moves this week? Because we're going to talk a little bit of trade deadline too. We just have so much to talk about with news and stuff for the Griffins. The biggest news, obviously, is the playoff clinching moment here, which it sucks that the Griffins didn't do it by winning that game that night. They needed to count on Rockford beating Hershey beating Rockford, whatever way it happened. Sorry. But at the same time, like, we clinched. It's done. It's over with. That weight's off of their back.
So Coach was actually happy on Thursday that Rockford scored to win that game, which forced the Griffins to have to win a game to clinch. And he said when Brett Cini scored, he threw his fist up in the air, was stoked because he knew on Friday the boys were going to respond. They were going to win. They were going to clinch and get in. And that didn't happen.
And that game happened, which we'll talk about here at some point in time. That's a rough game. I mean, yeah, you always want to be the reason that you clinch, right? You don't want just to give me at that point. But at the same time, when you look at the season overall, like, it doesn't really matter how they did it and how, like, it's just how impressive the season has been to be able to have the opportunity to do it this early. We've never seen the AHL playoff primer on the website this early. So many people were commenting that the only reason this is existing now is because the Grand Rapids Griffins are in the position to do it. Like, when you look at the season overall and this incredible record the team has, I mean, you're 53 games in, you're 41-8-3-1. You have 8 regulation losses, 53 games into the season. Yes, you got in because another team lost, but at the same time, does it really matter when you've put on this show that you've put on this entire season? I don't think so. I understand what Coach was looking for. He's looking for that extra little gas in their tank with the way the lineup's looking right now, which we're going to talk about here shortly. But at the same time, you did it. It's off their back. One goal is achieved and you're on to the next one, which I'm assuming the next goal would be to win the division there. I don't have the magic number handy of what that would be at this exact time, but we'll get that as time goes on. Obviously, that's going to be a little bit longer of a race. But when you look at the division overall and see that we're at 73 points, or sorry, when you look at the division overall and see that we're at 86 points, the next closest team's at 65, it seems like that'll come a lot quicker than we probably think too. I'll be curious to see what the stat is with the earliest a team has clinched a division and see if we could break that record too. That would be pretty impressive to see. And like, all these records this year, it's the 30th year of this team, but this team's truly etching themselves into the history books, not just as the Griffins, but in the league. And it's so impressive to watch.
It's crazy, right? The goal, I believe the goals that Dan Watson put out was to become a team, right? That's the first goal. Second one was to make the playoffs. I don't know if division title was on there.
I don't think it was, because I know they just wanted to get back in the dance and go deeper than last year, right? You want to have a better response than last year, which it would be pretty nice to see because last year's playoffs sucked. So, but the first goal you mentioned, to become a team, like this team is a team. This team is a family. This is the closest knit group of guys I've ever witnessed playing hockey. And not just watching what they do on the ice is fun, but interacting with these guys and watching them off the ice is so much fun. This group is so close. I don't know how it happened so fast, because when we went into our season preview, we were just happy making the playoffs. Like, we looked at this roster heading into the season with so many unknowns going, we'll just be happy making it. I don't see them winning the division. I don't see them being this powerhouse that 53 games in, we have 8 regulation losses. Like, none of us saw that coming. That was not our talk track at the beginning of the season. But that talk track shifted probably 5 games in. We're like, what? This team's insane. And there's a point that we'll talk about this weekend with the transition from Friday to Saturday's game, where I went into Saturday's game going, we're probably going to lose again. Like, it's the first time I've walked into a game going, we're going to lose. And I watched the boys in warmups, and when they were standing on the line during the anthem, and I looked at a lane next to me, I'm like, we're winning this game. Something looked different, and we'll talk about it when we get there. But again, congrats to the boys for clinching. This is just an insane run, and it's been so much fun to cover. So thanks to them for giving us a ton of stuff and fun stuff to talk about this season, because God, we could cover like the Hartford Wolfpack or the Iowa Wild. Like, that'd be rough.
We did that one year. That was our first year, Brandon.
Yeah, I know.
To do it for 3 years in a row would be, I don't know if I would still be here with you, Brandon. I think I would have to give up, go do something else.
I don't know how some of our Red Wings friends that have done Red Wings podcasts through these dark years have done it, because, oh my gosh, that first year was miserable, and it turned around so quickly after that. And we know it won't be sunshine and rainbows forever, but at the same time, these next few years and this year are going to be a lot of fun for this team. And God, this year, man, this year.
This is the standard. This is the standard, Brandon. We're not going back. This is where they set the bar, and there should be nothing less than this moving forward.
Sure. Yeah, 100%. All right. Outside of that, other news and updates that have happened throughout this week. You had a Jacob Truscott recall from Toledo heading into Friday's game, which is always fun to see Jacob come back up. And we get to Friday's game and look at the lineup after Truscott's called up, and we go, where's Dominic Shine? Where is this guy? Well, then Bob says it on the broadcast, got a call up to Detroit, which I think, you've listened to the show long enough, anytime we get to see Dominic Shine in a Red Wings uniform, we're extremely happy people. There's nobody that we root for more that goes up there than Dominic Shine. And I know when he goes to Detroit, is he a top line player? No, but just the opportunity for him, just this storybook last couple of years that this guy has had to be able to go up there and lace him up again for Detroit. It's such a cool thing, and we always love to see the captain get to go up there. Of course, we love to see him in our lineup because we know what our record is when he's in our lineup. But man, just that opportunity is so special to get to watch.
Yeah, very confusing not to see him in the lineup. When we walked into the arena, when I walked into the arena Friday, I saw Tom, I knew I was there, and Dom Shine out of the lineup, said guaranteed loss. It's just...
Yeah. So for those that don't know, Nick and Tom, one of the other writers that covers the Griffins occasionally, they're not allowed to go to games together anymore because the result is a loss. We figured out the Achilles heel for this team, and it's these two being in the building at the same time. So we'll make sure during playoffs that it's scheduled appropriately. And, if Nick's got to make a sacrifice and not be at a game some nights, he'll make the sacrifice.
I told Tom not to show up for the rest of the year. I told him the last game.
You can't do that. That's rude. Oh, and breaking news as we're recording this news segment here, Jacob Truscott has been reassigned to the Toledo Walleye. So that's kind of expected. The Griffins don't play again until Wednesday, assuming Shiner probably comes back and maybe we can get the lineup back together here. Or Truscott just gets called up again for Wednesday's game, but he'll play with Toledo today. So good for him getting those experienced minutes there. And all types of situations as coach talked about this week. It's good for him to get that experience this early in his career. So good stuff there. Outside of that, no other crazy news updates this week. We're going to dive into hockey. We have a game last Wednesday against the Manitoba Moose. We haven't seen the Moose in town for a little bit. Didn't know what to expect with them, but I remember, and I asked Coach about this after the game, when we played Manitoba the first couple times very early in the season at home and dominated them, just beat them left and right. Coach looked at me and said, once that team over there figures it out, they're going to be a very good team. Boy, did he call that right. I mean, you look at the division overall, Manitoba's sitting in fourth right now, which I know some people might be like, fourth, that's not that impressive. They're only 1 point out of third place. And where they started the season being in that position is very impressive, kind of like Texas being right above them. And that those are both very impressive turnarounds for those teams. But you look at this game, you see a 3-2 overtime loss to the Moose at home, and you just go, dang, that sucks. What happened? This game was chaos. I've never seen a game unfold the way this one did. And by chaos, I mean it was broken sticks, broken steel on skates left and right. I've never seen so many broken sticks in a game, especially Michael brandsegg-nygard's stick. Like, I think he broke 4 sticks in this game on not hard shots, just like soft wrist shots that, of course, from him are hard anyways. The release is insane. But his stick just kept snapping like someone took a saw to it beforehand. And outside of that, too, you just had Manitoba playing a style of hockey I haven't seen them play yet this season. Heavy, aggressive, a little dirty. I don't want to be the one to say that, but like there was a lot of stuff that was just getting under the Griffins' skin, and they let their emotions get the best of them in this one, I think. And the heartbreaker of this all is that overtime winning goal is Amadeus Lombardi's at center ice, loses the puck, steps on one of those said broken sticks, falls, tries to recover, can't get back up, falls again. Manitoba goes the other way, and Di Giuseppe ends up getting the game winner past Sebastian Cossa. This was just a tough game to watch because it's a game that was close. It felt like it could be anyone's, but in reality, Manitoba was the better team and won that game.
Yeah, I would agree. It was one where Manitoba came out humming, right? The first period, they're 14-6 on the shots. They get on the board, and we were pretty much playing catch up the entire game, it felt like. Nygard gets his goal. He got 2. We score on the power play. I don't want to say that emotions ran because we had the advantage of the power play. We had 4 chances where Manitoba had 2. I thought this was going to be one of those games where it was going to be a grind out, right? We fell behind. We came back. We fell behind. We came back. And then I'm like, all right, we go into overtime. We have an advantage here. On the power, we have a power play in overtime, so we're going to be able to get a goal here. Here we go. Like, this is the opportunity. And unfortunately, Ammo trips over the stick and they're out the other way. Like, you had hope, right? It was going to be an ugly win. They were going to be able to come back and get this, and we fall just short.
Yeah, it sucks. Like, the extra sting of that goal in overtime is that it was a shorthanded goal against, and it was for a too many men penalty in overtime. Like, that's just stuff you don't want to see happen at this stage in the season. You got to be better at that. What I meant by like emotion, though, like Manitoba was doing some stuff on the ice that I didn't like, at least from my perspective up top. And I understand from an officiating perspective, they're a lot closer to the game. Obviously, they're on the ice, and this is the fastest game on earth. But there was a lot of holding the stick, a lot of Griffin sticks getting wedged under our Manitoba players' arms, and Griffins not being able to join rushes and doing stuff like that. That was all game long. And I didn't see much of that from Grand Rapids. You saw the heavy hitting. I think MBN had to probably have 7 hits in this game, just doing his usual thing out there. Carson Bansel wasn't his usual self. He looked kind of like off in that game, but still was a little bit of a wrecking ball. Dom Shine, though, at some point in this game, gets called for boarding. Questionable 5-minute boarding called. 2 minutes for boarding, sure. Guy kind of turns on him at the end and ends up, facing the glass and gets hit, and they give him 5 for that boarding there, and the Griffins kill that off. First of all, heck of a job by the PK on that kill. That was where it felt like, okay, this game's still within our grasp. We can do this. But at the same time, they obviously lost, so we couldn't do it. But to kill that off in a tie game, the PK doing what it does best. I mean, it is the best penalty kill in the league for a reason. Absolutely insane kill there. Cossa was great on it, but all the guys in front of him were great too. I don't think Manitoba had as many shots as you would expect them to have on that PK. So our league leading PK did its job.
Yeah, I mean, special teams was kind of what kept them into this game, really. I mean, you close out the 2 power plays, right? 100% on the penalty kill, and then you score 1 power play goal at home, way better than what we've seen before and we're at 25%. If you remember a couple of weeks ago, we were looking at a power play at home at 13, 10%. So huge jump there. It's something that we'll continue to talk about throughout this week because the power play has done a lot better recently.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's so good to see the power play clicking at home. And there's one guy in particular clicking on that power play, but we'll talk about that more a little bit later. I think the only other point I want to make in this game is like a positive to take away from it outside of obviously the penalty kill being great is that Sebastian Cossa did play a really good game in this one. He wasn't set up for success with the situations that he was in where the goals did go past him. I mean, the first goal was a brutal turnover at the Moose Blue line by Justin Hull. He couldn't see the full turnover thanks to behind the net camera and Van Andel. If you followed us on Twitter at Hockeytown W Pod, you saw my rants about that on Wednesday. But they go the other way on a 2-on-0. And what's Cossa supposed to do there? That's how this game goes 1-0. And then the second goal, you had a Moose player, again, blatantly holding Wallinder's stick at center ice to the point where he loses the stick. He can't join the rush there. Shai Bulliam doesn't play the best defense to cover him either. And it's just kind of another one of those opportunities where it's 2-on-1. They beat Cossa. It is what it is. The overtime goal, maybe, but at the same time, it's a 2-on-0. Like, what do you expect, right? It's goalie against two guys. They're gonna make him miss. So good game for Coast, but obviously you want a little better. But the team in front of them just didn't play to their identity with this. And the reason why is you look at this lineup, right? And we talked about the lineup obviously with Friday's game, Dom Shine missing. But I looked at this lineup going to this game, and Alex Kanek-Leipert, defenseman, playing forward. Nick, all those jokes about him potentially playing forward since he's done it before came to life for you. So congrats on calling that one, buddy. We give you some flowers there for being right, but that's not something you wanted to be right on because if that's happening, we're in a tough spot.
Yeah, it was a hot take in the summer. As soon as we signed him, I saw his deployment stats, and I was like, this is going to be great for us. This is where we're going to need a Swiss Army knife to be able to throw in and play right wing or left wing or even center. And I think did he take it face off?
I swore he did. He said he didn't. Awkward moment in post game there. Again, our jersey numbers are hard to read sometimes, but at the same time, I thought he took a face off, and I was like, "What? This is wild to me." There's a defenseman taking a draw, but I mean, you look at the lineup he was on, and again, running 11-7 most situations, but this night they ran 12-6. And his center gets tossed out. What are you gonna do? It was up to Carson Bantle or him to take the face off. So it's not an ideal situation at all. But at least, hey, that's the first time they've been able to go 12-6. But it's still not a traditional lineup because you have a defenseman playing freaking forward.
Yeah, it's a topic of discussion for later on in this episode.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And the thing too, though, is that I don't know I'm sure you've noticed this, but I don't know if others have noticed this, is that when we were going 11-7, he was playing that forward position already. He was already cheating up in a lot of the moments on ice and playing that forward spots. I think at that same point, they're like, just go. Like, we're going to put you as a defenseman, but you're really going to be playing a little bit more on the forward side here, Alex, in preparation maybe for later or just kind of sneak that in.
He's just a player that likes to jump up in the rush. Like, that's a thing. That's he likes to do it. And we saw it very early on in the season. The first game of it was awkward, right? He played forward though all three of these games this weekend, and apparently some minutes in the last game too. Before that, I didn't catch that because I didn't get to watch that game. But that Milwaukee game, he played forward during the third period in that too. So it was uncomfortable in the first game. But what I noticed as this developed through the weekend is that the handoff between him and another defenseman that was on the ice for that defenseman to be able to join the rush and him to step back got a lot crisper. It got a lot cleaner. And I was like, oh, okay, there is some benefit here. That's a simple handoff. They both know how to play that role and jump up into the rush, obviously, but he was significantly more intelligent in getting back into that defensive coverage spot than you would see a general forward in most games jump back into that spot. Obviously, he should be. He's a defenseman. But again, when you see this, you're like, this isn't good. You're trying to give the forwards a little bit of rest to not go 11-7 because 11-7 is grueling on this forward group. Dan Watson pointed that out. And then we fast forward to Friday's game and you lose Dom Shine from the lineup, and Andre Becker showed up that day and was also injured, which shocked us all. Nobody knew how that happened, why it happened, and why he wasn't in the lineup. And you look down and AKL is still playing forward in Friday's game, and they're going 11-7. They threw Truscott in on D there to get that seventh D man. And you go, holy smokes, this is like bare bones roster at this point. You're missing Carter Mazur, you're missing John Leonard, you're missing Dominic Shine, you're missing Nate Danielson, you're missing Andre Becker. Holy pieces to be missing in this game. You got the Iowa Wild coming into town and they play us heavy. They always give us fits. What do we expect going into this game? This is going to be rough, but that's just not a situation you want to be in, especially at this point in the year. Because coach, like he said, that 11-7 is grueling on the Fords. He wants to be able to give them that rest, to give them those breaks. And this game just unfolded so poorly for them with this setup that you could only really blame it on the lineup, the way it was set up. Like, we asked coach after this game, what happened in this one? He goes, they played 17 minutes of hockey, which is right. In the third period, they came out and they tried to fight back in and get back in this game. And they had some fight in them, which was good, but they still end up dropping this game 3-2, losing to the worst team in the division, which nobody likes to see that. But there's always this thing with Detroit teams when we suddenly play the worst team, it suddenly is our toughest game. I've always noticed it's not just the Red Wings, it's not just the Griffins, the Tigers, the Pistons, doesn't matter. You all of a sudden have the worst team show up in your barn, and it's one of the tougher games in the season. Don't understand what that is about Detroit sports and Michigan sports, but that's what happens.
They think it's a night off, right? They think it's an easier opponent. They play down to their level, and then they don't show up, and then they get beat. And that's kind of how this game went, too. Like, they just couldn't get set up in the offensive zone the entire game, it felt like. And then in the third period, it really takes a turn because we start getting some power play time. We start getting some momentum. We start clawing back. I was like, with the 5 minutes left, I'm like, I think we might be able to get to overtime in this game. I didn't feel as confident in this game. Obviously showing up, seeing Tom there and Dom out. Like, I knew it was going to be a loss. And then they played flat. They literally did. And I can't blame them because of the lineup. Like you said, they've gone this non-traditional lineup for so long. They're scraping by with the injury, like with guys that are injured. And it's a tough system that Waddy has them playing. We've been to the practices. We've seen how they play. It's a great way for the beginning of the season for them to stack up all those points, to have a little bit of a gap. What is it, 17 points now between them and the second place. So this one doesn't hurt as bad. But like last year, it crushed us, right? You lose a game like this, you're like, this is the Iowa Wild. This is the last place team. We should have crushed this team. We needed the points. Luckily, we're in a position where we're not there. Obviously, we wanted to clinch that night. We had a clinching playoff scenario there. I think at the other back of the mind of the guys is we're going to get in regardless, right? I think I told you Iowa Wild could win their next 21 games. Grand Rapids could lose their next 21 games, and we'd still have a 3-point advantage on Iowa. Like, just a crazy stat there. But
yeah, I mean, Iowa's obviously playing for their lives still, right? Like, they're not eliminated officially. Like, they're still trying to get in there, and obviously getting a win against the top team in the league is going to feel really good to them. It's an extra boost for them. And you mentioned the guys played flat, and maybe not flat is the right word, but I'm like, this is the first time they've looked tired.
Yeah, and it's going to happen, right? They, like we said, they're playing 11-7. It's tough. The other thing on this, too, is that this was a different Iowa Wild team. They had a lot of guys playing in this team this night that we had not played against before. And they had Mayhew was out, was typically a Griffin killer here. They had Peterson back in net. It's a guy we haven't played against yet. And for the season series, I mean, we're 4-2, 1-1 against Iowa. I mean, it's to win the seasons. Well, I don't know if we've finished the season series with them.
No, we still have more games against them.
Apparently, obviously, right? Because that's the only player we're going to play them like once a week for the rest of the season.
Probably.
But we're winning the season series. And I think that's going to be another thing that Dan's wanting to do this season is to win, the season series against everybody in the Central Division. That's how you're going to get that Central Division title, right?
Oh, I mean, obviously, at that point, if you win the season series with everyone, you're going to win the division title, most likely. But yeah, I mean, credit to Iowa. They came in, they played a strong, heavy game. Cal Peterson played great in net. They executed on their game plan. They caught the Griffins when they looked the most tired we've seen them all season. But I mean, like you mentioned earlier, the power play clicked in the third period there. MBN and Shai Bullion both get goals in the power play. Amadeus Lombardi comes out of this game with 2 assists. Not Postava's best outing. Let's be real. A couple of those goals, you're like, oh boy, we had a moment in the game where I think it was their third goal where you're like, if you're a goaltender, tend the goal, Postava. Come on, stay in net there, bud. I know you like to come out and play the puck, but oh boy, that kind of cost us that goal there. But to see that power play click twice at home, after, you look at Wednesday's game and it was able to click once, all of a sudden we have 2. Okay. We've talked a lot about the home power play being a big dud this year so far, and MBN's been a key piece to getting that power play going. And I don't want to dive into that too far yet because there's another MBN power play goal on Saturday night we'll talk about too. But the setups on these goals and these power play goals, they were beautiful. Shai's goal was great. The passing on MBN's goal was unreal. And if I want to try to find a positive out of this game outside of the 17 minutes of hockey the Griffins played, it was that movement on the power play. It looked more like the beginning of the season power play on the road and at home this time, finally, for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, they go 2 for 5 on the power play. You can't ask for anything better than that, right? I mean, for where this power play is and where it was, like 2 for 5 is fantastic. I'm wondering if it is, did we unlock MBN or did the power play get unlocked because of MBN? Now that's the discussion to try to figure out, which we'll talk about.
We could talk about that right now. That's fine. I think obviously it's unlocked MBN a little bit. I think there's another piece when you look at the contributors on the power play, though, and who's consistently contributing on the assist side, and it's unlocked Amadeus Lombardi. Ammo on the power play now is lethal. I mean, what did I say to you before we started recording? He's got 13 points in the last 9 games.
Yeah.
That's absurd. How many of those points are power play points? I don't know. Quite a few, but they're not power play goals. He doesn't have any power play goals in those last 9 games. It's a lot of assists, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. He's become kind of a setup wizard on the power play, which we've seen the power play structure that they went with this week. It was the skate up, do the drop pass, usually to Ammo or MBN, and they break into the zone. I hate that drop pass. I hated it when the Red Wings started doing it more, when people started to call it the Detroit deep dish drop pass, whatever the hell they called it. But at the same time, seeing the Griffins execute it with these 2 players is so key. Because if they can continue to unlock that and continue to do that, that is so great for Detroit down the road. Because if you have these 2 young kids being able to break into the zone and actually establish a setup and start setting up guys, that's dangerous. Because those 2, not only do they have unreal shots, but their passing skills are off the charts.
Yeah, I mean, that's the classic Ammo. He is the assist guy. That's how he was in Flint. Like, he wants to be that setup guy. He is not your traditional goal scorer. He's evolved a little bit more. His shot's been a lot better. He's been able to create the space now for the shot. You got to give it up when you've got MBN on your other side with that lethal shot. Those 2 right there, that, like you said, it could be the powerhouse to move forward. And those 2 guys have been playing very well. You keep the chemistry going. How can you stop those 2, right? That's what teams are going to have to figure out. And if they do, you've got Shai Bouillon in the back or Antetokounmpo behind you to be able to throw a bomb at the net as well. So it's they're kind of creating a good little system here on the power play to be able to throw it back or to go up front. And once you get both of those going, you see the power play improving. And that's been the biggest flaw that this team has had this year. It's the power play.
Especially at home.
Yeah, especially at home.
Well, not even that. Like, let's say, teams start figuring out, okay, he's going to pass it to MBN. Or the end goal for the team is to pass it to MBN. Okay, they start closing on him. That unlocks Tralmaks. That unlocks Dries. That unlocks, like you mentioned, the defenseman back there. Tuomisto, not as much. Ian Mitchell, more on that unit specifically. But I have no problem with Ian Mitchell running a power play unit. He's great at it. It's just, if they can figure this out and keep that momentum going, I'm fine with it. The moment it starts slipping, though, you're like, all right, the drop pass, stop it. We're done with that. But the key point on Ammo, too, that we wouldn't have seen last season or even heck at the beginning of this season is the ability to break into that zone and out-muscle guys to get established. And over these last 12, 13 games since he's been back from injury, he's been able to win these battles. He's finally out-muscling other players, which was one of his downfalls. I mean, everyone said, defensively is one of the things they're looking at, and the ability to out-muscle guys. Well, I've seen him win constant battles so far these past few games, even in these losses, where it's a much bigger guy he's going up against, and he's coming out of there with the puck, or if he happens to lose it, he turns around and pickpockets him so quick and gets it right back. Like, what we're seeing from Ammo is exactly what Detroit wants to see right now.
Yeah, he's becoming the player that they want and that they expected, right? It's the strength point is a great point to bring up. He's being able to hold the guys off. Defense, I want to call out though, is because what he said in pregame is that he is doing a lot better job defensively this year than he has in the past. He's never going to be a 200-foot player though. That's just not his style. That's not the type of player he is. He's always going to lean more on the offensive side. But his defense has gotten a lot better this year, and we've seen it as well. But Coach did bring out a point to acknowledge that he is improving defensively, and this kid is making those strides, right, to get to that next step. I don't know how much. I'm afraid this, like we thought in the beginning of the season, this is probably our last year with ammo. And it continually looks like that.
I know. And I like what Coach pointed out in that too, is that Ammo has to play defensively different than most guys because of his size, and it's learning how to play defense with his size. And he's learning how to do it differently. You're seeing him get up underneath guys when you're in those corner battles and be able to come out and win with the puck. And I don't know, maybe he's spending some time in practice on the boards with Doucette, because Doucette's just a board battle machine. I wish that would convert to more goals for Doucette, but hey, you win those battles and set up other guys like he did on Saturday. That's great stuff. We love that. But being able to learn how to play defense with his size is going to be so key for him, and he's doing it right now. This is some of the most exciting hockey I've seen Amadeus Lombardi play since we've started covering him. Obviously, the Flint numbers were insane, and what he did down there was insane, but this is very different hockey, and the way he's doing it is very different. But like his 13 points in those last 9 games is insane. I mean, you could extend it a few more games and add 3 more points in there. I think he's got 16 points in the last 12 or 16 in the last 16, something like, I don't know. He's just putting up points, dude.
I think the important thing too about these points is that last year they were coming because he put the team on his back, right? They needed him to put these points up. He had the pressure that there's nobody here to be able to generate offense. I have to do it. This year, he does not have to put it all on his plate to be able to do it. We're still out with Leonard. We're still out with Mazer, but there's other guys in this lineup that can produce as well, like Tralmaks, like MBN. You're getting those other contributions. Rakowski last night, right? Like you're getting points from other players as well, so that not the entire pressure is on him. He's already got that internal pressure that he's always going to have to be able to put the points up. But I think that's important to be able to see that is it's not all on him, and it's not make or break if he doesn't score tonight or get the assist.
Exactly. All right. Well, no other thoughts to add to that game since it was a flat game and only 17 minutes of hockey. And I lied. I have one last thought. I'm sorry. The last thing I do like about this game is, like, obviously the guys were gassed. They looked tired, right? The fight in the third period, yes, 2 power play goals does help. But when you look at the shots, out shooting Iowa 15-3 in the third period, picking up, locking it down, digging in, finding that extra go to try to claw back into this game. And obviously, again, those power plays help. But to be able to defensively lock it down like that, and obviously with Iowa with a 3-0 lead, they're going to play their game a little differently and to try to defensively lock it down, to put up 15, hold them to 3. That was a positive sign that I think got lost in the shuffle as we headed into Saturday night's game. I think that's something that we saw their scoreboard, we saw how they played, and we went, not much to take away. Those all happened within the 17 minutes of hockey that they did truly play in this game. So wanted to make sure I pointed that out. We're going to hit a quick ad break. When we come back, I'm going to give you an injury rundown and an update for the Grand Rapids Griffins, because we did get some updates over this last week. We got one more game to talk about, and that's the absolute beatdown I alluded to in the beginning. A standings update from around the league, and I'm sure we'll find some more to talk about after that.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for the fastest game on ice. With player props, live betting, every shift, every shot, every save gives you options to get in on the game with DraftKings Sportsbook. Currently, the NHL is on an Olympic break, but right now you can bet a plus 10,000 for Moritz Seider to win the Norris Trophy, or plus 3,500 for John Gibson to win the Vezina. Pretty good odds there for our guys. New customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. Copyright 2026 Reserve.
And welcome back. All right, I said we're going to give you an injury update since we didn't give it to you in the beginning of the show. If you listen this long, you get to hear the injury update. So Nate Danielson, no updates given so far. We asked about the updates from the testing he was supposed to get on Monday. We could not get those updates. Not a surprise in this league. You can't find out any information about injuries, but Bob Kaiser did say Friday night in the broadcast that Carter Mazer participated in full practice. Now, I don't know if that's still with a non-contact jersey or whatnot, but if he's still in full practice mode with the team, that's huge. That's way sooner than we thought, which I hope he's not pushing it to get back sooner because the shortcomings in the lineup. So hopefully we're good there.
He is in a non-contact jersey.
That makes sense. Thank you for confirming that.
Nate is still so. There were some comments about this. Is no update, and I was like, so is he injured? Is he not? Is he being held out for trade? The update is he's still injured. There's no update on the injury.
Correct.
For clarification.
Correct. That's how that works. Andre Becker's injury was a surprise to us all. We don't know an update on him there. And John Leonard, his injury is just one of those nagging ones that kind of keeps him off the ice, which is unfortunate. I don't know if he's practicing or what. I shouldn't say off the ice, but keeps him out of the game at least. So that sucks. Hopefully he gets that figured out soon, because we know, talking with Amadeus Lombardi in the offseason, he had that nagging injury that just kind of built up, and he finally, took the time out. So hopefully it's not a situation like that where we're going to miss him long term. But God, just thinking about getting all these guys back into the lineup, what that's going to do for this team that continues to somehow find a way to win and win big like they did in this Saturday game without these guys is impressive. So let's head into the Saturday game here. Iowa and Grand Rapids again. And when you look at the game the night before, and as I alluded to in the beginning, you look at this and you kind of go, all right, Shine's out of the lineup. Nick and Tom aren't at the game, so maybe we have a chance. But you just kind of wondered. You're like, I feel like this is going to be another loss, unfortunately. That was my vibe kind of going into it. And then I saw something. In warm-ups, they were buzzing. They come out from the introductions, they were buzzing. The guys that were starting the game on the blue line during the anthem, tapping each other on the shin pads, tapping each other's backs, like all of a sudden they felt closer than they felt the night before. I looked at Elaine, I'm like, we're going to win this game. I don't know why. We're going to win this game. And sure enough, they came out absolutely flying. 6 minutes into the game, Raklovsky gets the action started with the first goal of the game. Nice little tip off of a Tuomisto shot. And I'm like, all right, 1-0. Here we go. But wait, what happened before that? Something happened. And Mark Lewinsky for Iowa goes up towards MBN. MBN sets him up for a massive hit. You look like Lewinsky was going to hit him. MBN had him set up for the reverse, but Lewinsky then makes this motion and puts his stick up in the air, cross check towards MBN's head. And MBN gets the worst of this and goes down for a second. I'm like, oh God, please no. This kid's on fire. Don't get hurt. He bounces back up just fine. He's a kid. He's like a toddler. They fall down. He gets right back up, right? Right after that is where the momentum shifted, and Grand Rapids was like, I don't like that, because there was a scrum after it too. No fight, but there was a scrum. Griffins score. Awesome. Just over a minute later, Griffins score again. Sheldon Dries. All right, 2-0. Here we go. Then Carson Bansel gets boarded from behind. Don't love that. Did not like that hit at all. Neither did the Griffins. The entire team on the ice, besides the goalie, responded. Big scrum, and Alex Kanik-Leeper and Bradley Merrick go at it with a good old-fashioned fight near center ice. They're both exchanging good blows. Again, I love when Kanik-Leeper gets into that fighting pose, tucks that chin down, and he's ready to start going. He gets up from the ice after that fight, gets the crowd into it, and that's the loudest I've heard that building get all season. Granted, it was another sellout, I think the fourth one of the season. Princess Night always sells out for some reason. The fans love it. The kids were loving it. Everyone was into it, and the Griffins responded after that by adding on 2 more goals. You had an Amadeus Lombardi goal that was just a beauty, and you had MBN come through with another goal, assisted by Ian Mitchell, and Sebastian Cossa gets his second assist of the season. We know Nick loves the goalie assists. And all of a sudden, you come out of the first period and the Griffins have a 4-0 lead. Polar opposite of the night before.
Hey, a little bit of momentum, I guess, from the Friday's night game. Third period, they shut them down. 3 shots on net. Come out this one, buzzing. It's a good thing. That's what you want to see from this team, is how they respond. I think at this point, they've only had a 3-game losing streak, right?
They've had 2 3-game losing streaks this season. They've never extended it beyond that. They have not had a 4-game losing streak, which is just insane to think about overall. Again, this is an insane season, but yes, no 3-game losing streaks at this point. But to come out of this with a 4-0 lead, and you look at the lineup and go, this is the same lineup as last night, except for the goalie. Obviously different starting goalie. Same lineup, polar opposite result. And again, like I said at the beginning of the game, they felt closer. They felt connected. It felt like that brotherhood that we've seen in the locker room was pulled out of the locker room onto the ice for this game, and they gave it all. I mean, you outshot Iowa 10-5 in the first period and put 4 past Halavai. Welcome back from the Olympics, Samuel Halavai. You get lit up for 4 in the first period on 10 shots. Probably used to that from your Olympic team and playing for this team. But anyways, moving on from that, that's just an impressive way to come out and say, no, you're not doing this again to us back-to-back nights. I don't know where they found the extra gas in the tank, but they found the premium gas, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, even looking at some of these goals, like the way that they were set up too was a full team effort. It wasn't just an individual. It wasn't uh, you had one power play goal that entire game. I mean, it wasn't like a momentum shift or anything like that. I mean, I guess maybe maybe the hit to NBA kind of just started things off, and that's where it tilted. I wasn't able to be at this game, so I got to lean on you here, Brandon. I mean, was
It
there
tilted
a
when
point?
Lewinsky tried to take MBN's head off. Like, that's where this game shifted. That was the first clip and highlight we posted all game long. There was, 13 minutes left in the first period at that point. Nothing had really happened. Shots were tied 3-3 at the time of that happened. It was back and forth, but the Griffins felt like they had the momentum at that point still. As soon as Lewinsky tried to do a dirty thing, the momentum fully went to the Griffins, and they were pissed at that point. You could tell. They were playing with some anger, but they played with emotion, not emotional, as Coach talks about, and they turned that emotion into just pure anger at the puck to put it in the net. And that's what they did in that one. And like you said, it was team effort. You look at the two first goals, they were both tips. There was guys going to the net when there was a point shot, and that's what we want to see more of, and that's what this team usually does a lot of. And the other two goals, I mean, good God, dude. Amo's goal, absolute beauty. MBN's shot on the power play goal for that fourth goal, just that insane quick release he has to just get into the zone and shoot it. He caught Halave by surprise on that one completely.
The one I really liked here, and I want to highlight this, is because Justin Hull, there was a point with Amo's goal. The puck was getting close to that blue line, and he keeps it in to be able to get it to Amo for the goal. And that's something that, sometimes can get overlooked, right? Or depending on who's on that blue line, we notice it a little bit more than others. But we see that puck go over, but he kept that in. And it was the Iowa guy was right on Justin Hull there. He's able to turn that puck up to Amo and get that goal in. Like, that's fantastic. The Lagesson on MBN's goal, just absolutely beautiful play there as well. Like, these were plays. And then you get the two tips as well. So, I mean, it was just like everybody kind of came together to get these goals, and just the way that they were set up, just a great all-around effort.
Yeah, and it's funny, too, when you watch the highlight of Amo's goal, it looks like Halave got shot. The way he goes down afterwards, like, that's the best way to describe it. He had to dive across that net to try to save it. The passing was just so crisp. They had him beat left and right there. Man, it was just so much fun to watch when you see those guys start to click like that, especially these two players unleash their shots that they have. I mean, Amo had a wide open net. Like, if he missed that, he would have been pissed. But Amo's goal like that, and then MBN's shot again, he just skates straight into the zone in the high slot and unleashes this quick wrist shot. And that wrist shot, man, has some power. When he misses the net and it hits the boards, it sounds like a dang slap shot. It's insane.
I had to rewatch this goal like 6 times this morning because I didn't see where the puck went. I'm like watching it, and then as soon as they slowed it down, I'm like, okay, now I can see it. Like, how did he deceive this goalie so bad on this? Because he didn't really react until it was already in the net. Just such powerful, like, just a smooth shot right here from MBN. And that's what you want to see on an Olympic goaltender, right? This guy, there's been some talk now with the week that he's had is, are we going to be pulling MBN up here, or are we going to run the ELC the rest of the season? Like, where are we at with this, Steve? It's getting hard with the points and the play that he has down here. He's really coming out.
Detroit's not allowed to touch him until Leonard, Mazer, and Becker are back in the lineup. That's my rule. I'll send that paperwork to Steve right now. But again, like you said, it's an insane shot. He had Halave frozen. Like, he couldn't do anything. And it's crazy when you watch the replay too, is there's 4 Iowa players around MBN, not a single Griffin in front of him or really near him, and he just shoots it. Just does it, just looks and shoots, right? That's what he says. He doesn't think, he just shoots the puck and hopes it goes in. Obviously, Iowa.
Good. I said, even the second one, like, he just slipped past him. Like, he had so much power on it that it just slipped through the goaltender and in.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, when you look at this, it's a 6-2 win. Obviously, Iowa was able to get 2 goals on the board. Nothing really, I'm not going to talk about him. Whatever. Lewinsky got one, F off. And Kubel got one late in the third period. Didn't really care. MBN does add a second goal in this one, and so does Amadeus Lombardi. Like, both these guys had 2-goal games. Amadeus Lombardi had himself a heck of a night. MBN had a 3-point night in this one, carrying on his insane run of the last 9 games. This is just absolutely stupid what we're seeing this kid do right now. And again, his second goal, just as good as the first. Ammo's second goal, way better than the first. He completely fooled Hlavai on this one, which was so funny because at this point in the game he scored and we never saw a replay of it. You can only see the one single clip that we posted of it. There was no replay shown in the arena, but the move he makes in front of Hlavai to get the puck over his shoulder, just absolutely insane stuff when you're up already 5-2.
Just smooth. Yeah, his celebration was just like, yep, there it is.
Yeah.
Like just just so calm and collected on it. When I saw that they both had 2 goals, and on MBNs, that's the one where Lagesson just crushed the guy.
Just annihilated this dude. He annihilates him. MBN takes the puck down, and it's like a shootout. He slows way down and just plays with it, and boom. And you see him look at Ammo, who was open on the other side of him, and he just, sorry.
Yeah. Like, as a goaltender, what are you supposed to do when you have those 2 guys coming down on you? Like, you're done. Like, it's going to end up in the back of the net.
Yeah, man, it's fun. Post game was an absolute blast after this one. There was some funny antics in this one. I asked MBN if that, Lewinsky trying to take his head off was like a turning point in the game. Like, what did the guys, like the response from the team when it happened? He looks at me and goes, Lewis? Like, I love the kid. I know the English, he's still learning it, right? It's funny. Maybe I kind of stretched with that question with him. I know I did. But that was a funny moment there. There was funny words said after that too, but I won't repeat those. And funny antics too during Lagesson's interview. If you listen to it on our social page, you'll hear it clear as day. What happened during that one?
It was a blast.
Oh man, it was just, again, man, good stuff from the team in this one. Another great team win, but to be able to go out there with the same lineup, dig deep, and play their style of hockey to their identity. Again, you have a defenseman playing forward. You're playing with a non-traditional lineup, and heading into this game, shout out to our friend Elaine Shercliffe, who pointed out of the 11 games going into this one that the Griffins had played in February, 2 of those games had a 12-6 lineup. The rest were non-traditional. In one of those 2, you had a defenseman playing forward. Obviously, that was Wednesday's game against Manitoba. Yet they had a record of 7-2-1 this month with that.
Dang. That's pretty impressive. I didn't know the 7-2-1. You kept that from me.
I did.
I mean, Waddy's gotta love February, right? Like this, it feels like we did this last February as well, where we're missing pieces, we're struggling to field a full lineup, and it's, we called it out last year. It's not fair to the organization, especially it's not fair to this team in the organization, especially when they're on such a hot start, right? My fear now is trade deadline, right? Like if they're giving up prospects or people.
Yeah, you mentioned the organization, and this is one thing I will say. When you look at Friday's game, obviously, like the Shine call up was last minute. Becker showing up injured was a shock to everybody. So you had to run with what you had. Not signing a PTO heading into this game, not like bringing Jackson Judding back up so you could maybe run 12-6. Like he played well. Like,
yeah,
not making that move was a real head scratcher to me and kind of left me going, what are we doing here? But is it kind of one of those things where the good employee never gets rewarded, right?
Yeah. I mean, with Jackson though, he had a PTO for a 10-day PTO, and they only had it for 2 days. They released him early. Like that was unfortunate circumstances, right? Like you see Shine get called up last minute. You can't do anything about it. You still have Leonard out. You've got, Mazur's week to week. They say day to day, but he won't be back for probably another 2-3 weeks. So you already kind of know those. You can't take that. Becker showing up injured that morning. Yeah, different thing. And then Nate, still no update on his testing. I get that, but you got to have extras, right? You got to have the depth. And that's what we talked about in the beginning. If you with that amount of time, why didn't we just keep Jackson for a little bit longer to be able to help until Leonard
just
came back?
Re-sign him Friday night and bring him in Saturday. Or re-sign somebody Friday night. Like you could sense when we brought up the 11-7 with Coach, like there's some frustration from him that he can't run a full lineup. Like it's just like last year when you asked him what was the thought going into the lineup? And he's like, "That's all we have. Like that's all we have. We can't afford to lose anybody." Like I said, seeing Lewinsky try to take MBN's head off, you're just like, "F you, dude. Like look at what we're dealing with here. You got a defenseman playing forward. Don't try to take a guy's head off." But that's Lewinsky. That's his role on that team. I get it. And there was some respect shown to Lewinsky after the game and after post game by a player, because that player commented that he verbally assaulted Lewinsky all night long and he took it like a man. So You all can put the pieces together on that one. It was off-air
No,
comments, so we'll
it's
leave that there. But at the
it,
same time, back to the thought of playing like this and playing at this level with this non-traditional lineup, these are lessons that are going to be so valuable down the stretch to this team. That's why I can confidently look at you guys half the time and go, this team's going to go on a deep run, because look what they're doing with the pieces they have available to them right now. They're still dropping 6 goals in a game on a team after getting beat the night before. It's the way they respond. It's the way they bounce back. It's the way they fight. That's what gives me that faith that this team can go do some really impressive things in the playoffs. And I feel like it is going to be a deep, deep run because of these lessons that they've learned. Again, you've only lost 8 regulation games, so you're not learning a lot through losses, but when they do lose, it seems like they learn more than a team that might string together, a 5-game losing streak. They lose that one game when they're on a hot streak of 6 games winning, right? They lose that game. It feels like they learn a lot about themselves, and that's valuable heading into playoffs.
It's how you respond. And they've seemed to always respond after a loss or after 2, right? They still have time to save the segment, the 5-game segment. They've got 2 other games to go. There's a little bit of a turning point. They've got today off. I think they have today off.
They have today
practice.
Off, yes.
Which,
yeah, or we wouldn't be recording this early. I would have went and caught some interviews before I had out my trip. I would have went to practice this morning if they had it. But nope, they got a well-deserved day off after the stretch that they've been on. Yes, they lost 2 of the games this week, and someone would say, a well-deserved day off. Look at the lineup. Look at the lineup. They deserve this day off. So outside of that, that wraps up the game action for this weekend. Again, I love the response. I love the response and what they're showing us when they're down or when they get beat down, how they get back up and go out there and punch the other team straight in the teeth. I mean, to drop 6 on that team when they only beat you by 1 goal the night before, that could have gone to overtime. They could have gotten that win. Iowa could have lost both of these this weekend very easily, but to go out there and punch them in the face physically, thanks to AKL, and metaphorically with a 6-goal game, unreal stuff. And credit to Cossa in this game too. There was some unreal saves that he made. One where him and Tuomisto came together to keep that puck from literally a fraction of an inch going over that blue line there, which I love that the refs were willing to review that one, but half the other stuff this season they haven't, but I digress. Moving on from that, our 3 stars of the week. I'm going to pass it over to you, buddy, because you have the stats handy and I don't have them in front of me with all the math done. Who are the 3 stars for the Griffins this week?
So 3rd star of the week, we're going to go with Sebastian Cossa. He had 2 starts, 55 saves on 60 shots, so a .917. He had 38 shots against in that Manitoba game. So without him, it would have been a little bit more ugly, I feel.
100%. He stood on his head a lot in that game to make it less ugly than it was about to be. But again, he's the reason we got that point, the overtime point. He's the reason.
2nd star of the week, Mr. Amadeus Lombardi. For the week, he had 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points. 2 back-to-back.
Insane.
I was going to say 2 back-to-back, but no.
No, he did not. That was last week.
Yeah, he had 1 assist, 2 assists, and then 2 goals in that last one.
Yeah, an insane week for him again. I mean, he was the 1st star of the week last week for us with his back-to-back game winners and overtime, obviously, and a great week there. And he's just carried that momentum forward. How many points did I say? 13 in 9 games. Just absurd numbers right now. Another great week from the kid.
And the important thing with him, too, is he's staying hot, right? Like we saw Sean get hot, and then he was missing this week with being in Detroit. But you see guys start getting hot and then they kind of cool off first. So hopefully he can continue this going into next week as well. Give a three-week stretch of putting up some points. Number 1, I mean, you got to guess it at this point. It's NBN. I mean, it's 5 goals, 1 assist, 6 points. What'd you say? It was 8 points in 9 games before we started?
8 points in 9 games. Yeah. Just absurd stretch that this kid is on. But 5 goals this week when, yes, the Griffins scored 6 in 1 game. Okay, cool. But you look at before, they scored 2 and they scored 2. So he had 5 of those goals total right there. That's insane. So, yeah, 1st star. Obviously, everyone knew that before we probably even hit record today, that he was the 1st star of the week for this team. I'd be shocked to see if he isn't player of the week in the AHL this week, honestly.
Yeah, I would be surprised too. His trajectory has been so good this second half of the season. I don't know if the All-Star break just really rejuvenated him, needed a little bit of a break. I mean, you see some talk with the guys up in the NHL that, been up there a little bit too long, maybe needed a break, but,
Oh yeah, some jerseys out there, right? Anyways, no, MBN. I mean, look, dude, 48 games played with the Griffins this season since being sent down from Detroit. 15 goals, 19 assists for 34 points. Handled the send down better than 99% of the players would that get sent down to the American League after going to the NHL. He has handled this right. He has a great attitude. He just wants to go out there, play hockey, and be the best for the team that he's on. When he gets back to Detroit, well, I think there'll be a small adjustment period of time. Yes, I don't think he'll come out of the gate just blowing the doors down. I think once he's adjusted to where he's at fully, he's a monster. And I can, with confidence at this point, say that when he is in the NHL long term, this kid is going to be a star. He is going to be a star in the NHL, not just because he could score goals, it's how he scores goals, but also his play off the puck too. He can play solid defense. He's really getting good at that. I mean, we don't talk a ton about plus minus. Obviously, he's on a team that scores a lot of goals this season, but he's a plus 21. A plus 21 right now in the time he's been back. And obviously, again, we score a lot of goals in Grand Rapids. We know that. But it's the hits. It's the bone-crushing hits this kid can throw, and then also go out there and just unleash this monster of a wrist shot that a goalie has zero chance of stopping, like Halavai did on Saturday night. He's insane. He's going to be a stud. He's going to be a star, and I cannot wait for that full development to take place. And he's so young still. We've got so much time to watch this kid develop still. Does he get called up this season? I mean, I can't argue it if he does, but again, Steve, you can't touch him until we get our other guys back. Sorry. It's just against the rules. And God, do not trade him this week. Do not. I will riot.
I don't think he's on the trade block.
No, he's no way.
I do want to add, because our source gave himself up this week, Mr. Prospects, and 78 hits leads the Griffins with MBN. 37 more than the next Griffin. And
I'd be curious to see what that number is again after this week, Prospects, if you want to hit us up with that again.
He's 1.73 hits per game. And obviously, like, this week was a huge hitting week for him. But the other thing...
You're good. Yeah, it's insane. I want to say that he had 7 hits in Saturday's game alone. If I was trying to track it myself, but then obviously the game got out of hand with trying to keep updated and keep things posted. I fell behind a little bit there. I felt like Nick in that Rockford game last season, but we got there. We found a way. But just again, insane week from MBN, insane stuff. Before we talk AHL standings, let's talk this looming trade deadline. I hate this week. Because, as you know, listening to the show, we are a players podcast, so we will always, err on the side of players. We walk that fine line to make sure we don't say things that we shouldn't say, that players might say, or, just we always want to be player friendly. And we know this week sucks for a lot of players because it's that week of uncertainty. You don't know where you're going. And it's a week I don't envy being a coach, because how do you keep guys focused with games, especially in the AHL, when you might be that fringe prospect guy that could be on the block? How, the Griffins have 2 games this week. They have one on Wednesday and that one on Friday there on deadline day. Like, it's a rough day for everybody. You got a close knit locker room that might lose a close friend, right? We saw the reaction from Dylan Larkin when Tyler Bertuzzi got traded. That's not, it sucks. It's a tough week. I don't want to speculate on rumors and all that fun stuff, because that's just not what we do. But the question I'll pose to you in this one is, does Detroit make a splash this week?
I mean, there's already talks, right? With the Tyler Myers talk. He turned it down.
I say we won't address rumors, and here he goes. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I thought you were setting me up for the rumors.
No.
But that was already been gone, right? So the Tyler Myers, they are trying to do something. Right, Steve has been trying to improve.
But Tyler Myers
Detroit
isn't a splash.
To some not. But Steve's tried to do something. He's tried to move a piece. He's tried to bring talent over to Detroit. He sees that the window is starting to open. He needs to do something to just, in good faith, the team has rewarded. The team is putting into a good position to be able to do that. And instead of selling, right, we're in a buyer's time. The problem we've had is just nobody wants to come here. Right. We had somebody from the Rangers last year that we were trying to get in the offseason. That fell through.
Yeah, that whole deal was a mess, though, because of his no trade clause.
Right. And Tyler Myers is the same thing. So I think there will be something. It just, to me, it sucks, right? Because we don't have, everybody wants to look, oh, yeah, we're here. Like, we could trade prospects, players. And it's like, we really don't. If you see what we've been going through in February, we're one more injury away from not being able to field a team at this point. I don't know how Dan is going to do it. If there is a package or something, like, and maybe that's some of the holdup is you got to field two teams, right? So I know Horkoff is probably working like crazy this week of trying to find and scout and bring people in. If there is a splash, I don't, who knows? But it's we're in a weird balance, right? Because something's got to go out, something's got to come in, and it's got to be somewhat even on both sides to be able to field the team.
Yeah, I think the Red Wings players have left Steve no choice but to make moves and buy at this deadline, which it's going to get interesting for sure. I don't know what that'll look like. You just hope he doesn't forget about Grand Rapids while he does it. I know Detroit fans are like, "Who cares about that? We're going to make the playoffs." And yeah, we're trying to win a cup, not just make the playoffs here. We've already done that step, guys. So let's go win a cup here. Like, you think of how valuable this playoff run could be for the development of some guys like Amadeus Lombardi, like MBN, like Sebastian Cossa. Like, going in a deep playoff run is going to be so valuable for these key prospects. And you've got other guys that might stand out too during these playoffs that Detroit might realize they already have to work with in the organization, right? Like, what's Eddie going to do in the playoffs?
Yeah, he's gonna blow up. But it's not only just Amadeus Lombardi and MBN. Like, you got to think too is the college season will end, the Europe leagues will end. You're gonna get those guys over here to play North American ice, to play in the playoffs, to see the physicality and the experience that they're gonna play against. You need that, right? That's only gonna help Detroit further along as this season is the floor. I've always said this season is the floor for Detroit of where they're heading, right? If they're gonna make it, they have to make it, right? Unless something crazy happens this month. But
It is March. Ooh,
it is
scary.
but and the division has been so tight too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
it's tough.
foresee some moves. How big? I don't know. If they're not big, I'm staying off Twitter for like a week. Just because I know this fan base will riot because everyone wants that big splash. But I can see something big happening. They're gonna have to do something. You've got to add, you've got to buy in this one. I think, especially if you want to make the playoffs. If you, with how tight the division is, like you said, if you don't buy, other teams are going to bypass you, and you're going to be left out of that playoff picture. And we need to get playoff hockey back in Detroit. 1%. I'm all for that, but don't screw us. Just don't screw us in all of this. That's all I ask.
Yeah, it'll be interesting after next week. What happens, how this team looks, what is going to be the shift, the change, right? Good thing we stacked up at time of recording. I think we're almost 20 points above Chicago in the standings. So
We are
second place.
21 points ahead of Chicago in the standings right now. 21 point gap.
I mean, we looked at this in the beginning of the season. This, to call back to the beginning of the episode, we looked and we're like, "Oh, this team is going to go hot." You got ASP, you got Finney, you got this, that, everybody, MBN, like, and then we didn't get those guys, right? They all went up to Detroit, and we've been able to still keep it hot. It's now going to this trade deadline. What is going to happen? It's a lot of uneasiness, and I think that's a lot of what affected them on Friday's game, right? The uneasiness of what's going on, the rumors that are flying. Wednesday, I don't know if I can associate it to the uneasiness of that, but being in that locker room Friday was definitely odd. It was weird.
Well, when you only play 17 minutes of a 60-minute game, yeah, the vibes are going to be low. So it happens. But who knows? Again, we're not going to speculate on rumors and dive into all that. We know it's a crappy week for players. And at the end of the day, you just hope that the team can carry forward and keep doing what it's doing after whatever moves are made. And we can go on this deep run and hopefully bring a championship back to Grand Rapids. That's the end goal for us here. And hopefully Detroit can make the playoffs. That's the goal for us there. And God, if they make the playoffs this season, I'd love to see them go beyond the first round. Is it possible? Who knows? Obviously, anything can happen when playoff time comes around. Teams find another gear. They take it to another level. If Detroit can make the playoffs this year and go past the first round, then that's a huge, huge win for the organization, especially if Grand Rapids can go do the thing. So we'll stop talking about the trade deadline and move on to that standings update around the American League. And as Nick and I said before, Griffins are obviously in first place in the Central with a 21-point lead over the Chicago Wolves. That's absurd. Chicago does have quite a few games in hand on Grand Rapids. They have not played a ton recently, so obviously that gap will close a little bit, but 21 points is just insane when you look at 53 games played. Griffins have 19 games left in the season, 100 points obviously well in their grasp. Second place, Chicago Wolves. Third place, the Texas Stars, still 1 point ahead of the fourth place, Manitoba Moose. You got Milwaukee in fifth place at 49 points. Rockford in sixth at 42 points. 3-7 in their last 10 in Rockford. They are not turning the ship in the right direction, but you look at Milwaukee, 2-4, 2-2 in their last 10 either. It's like a nobody wants the fifth place spot all of a sudden, which is crazy. Maybe Iowa can shock the world, right? Pretty doubtful, but they are at 39 points behind Rockford's 42 there. So that spot is getting a little closer. It's getting a little more interesting. Iowa was on a roll heading into Grand Rapids there. They're 6-4 now in their past 10. That lineup's kind of figuring it out. Obviously, we saw what that lineup is capable of. So the Central Division will probably get a little bit more interesting, but the Griffins, again, at 86 points is absurd. 84 goals scored on 4 against. Just absurd numbers. It's almost 100-point goal differential.
They're leading the league in both those. They're tied with Laval, who's got 184 for goals for.
It's insane. Head over to the Pacific Division. Ontario is in first place in that division there. They've overtaken Colorado. They have 70 points. Colorado at 69 points.
Nice.
San Jose in third place there. Bakersfield, Coachella, San Diego, Henderson, Tucson, Calgary, and Abbotsford make up the rest of the division there. That's that weird 10-team division in this league. A lot of teams make the playoffs in that one. We'll do a playoff breakdown probably in the next episode or two to help you guys understand who makes it. Everybody, spoiler alert. But we'll give you guys a breakdown and understanding of the playoff format in the AHL this season. Go over to the North Division. You got Laval leading that division again still. I don't think they've not had the lead in that division this season. They're an absolutely absurd team. 73 points right now. Syracuse and Cleveland make up the top three there. You got Toronto and Rochester in fourth and fifth. Belleville and Utica, sixth and seventh. You go to the Atlantic Division. Providence is leading that one still there, just 5 points behind the Griffins for the league lead there, just so you guys are aware. Wilkes-Barre and Charlotte make up the top three. You got Hershey in fourth. Bridgeport has jumped up to fifth. What? That's new. Lehigh Valley in sixth, Springfield in seventh, and Hartford in eighth. There was a trade between Springfield and Bridgeport this week, the AHL level deal from the NHL, I should say, where Matt Luff is now a Bridgeport Islander, which, seeing with the position they're in, that's a huge get for them to potentially go and make a playoff push. We know how much Matt Luff, can make an impact in the AHL. He was Springfield's leading scorer. I know they were pissed losing him, but I'm sure Bridgeport couldn't be happier right now with their position when you look at especially how they finished last season with one of the worst records we've ever seen in the American Hockey League. So that's your update. That's it stands. And again, we'll give you guys a playoff breakdown here in the next couple episodes, break down the format, the stupid playing around the AHL does, and all that fun stuff. But I think that's all we have for this week's show, buddy.
I think that's it. I don't have anything else to add.
We made it through another Griffins update. Thank you all for tuning in. Before we wrap up, we got to thank our sponsors of the show, DraftKings and Everything Hockey Clothing Company. When you're betting with DraftKings, use code THPN. And when you're shopping at everythinghockey.com, use code WEST to save a few bucks off your order. Pick up a sweet hoodie like my hockey and beer hoodie that I'm wearing right now. Love their products. Super comfortable and long lasting. God, I've had this thing now for 3 seasons we've been with them?
Yeah.
And it still feels like the first day I bought it. So definitely check out everythinghockey.com. Also check out our Patreon at patreon.com/HockeytownWest podcast to get bonus episodes, unedited episodes. We apologize that last week's episode did not get uploaded there. It was a mess. I wasn't going to put you guys through that. Episode was a disaster of an unedited episode. So sorry that one didn't go there. If you really want to see it, let us know on Patreon and I'll upload it, but it's bad. But we got to thank those subscribers that are already over there. Who are those folks, Nick? I think we had another new one this week.
We did add another new one. I've got Michael Asante, Eric Sleezer, Ellen and Lori Fausch, Griffin Knott from GR, Blade Grace, John in Florida, Tyler Ingalls, Darren Swartz, Dak, Peter Krell, Joe Schroeder, Rito, D-Boss is D-Boss. Bex is our new ad, and I believe I talked with her at the AHL All-Star Games. That interview, I think we still have to drop it at some point.
I still got to put all those together. I'm sorry.
You're good. And then we have Alan from GR. So, keep joining, keep subscribing, and we've got a lot in the works coming for you.
So much change. This offseason is going to be wild for us. There's been so much thrown at us in these past couple of weeks where we're like, wait till hockey's done. But in the AHL, that could mean right up to draft day of the NHL. So who knows? But lots of fun stuff coming your guys' way. And thank you all for the love and support on Patreon that you guys have been showing us. We appreciate it so much. All right, that wraps this up. The Griffins' upcoming schedule goes as follows. You got one more home game against Rockford on Winning Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, March 4th. And the Griffins head to Cleveland Friday night to take on the Monsters. And then they take them on again on Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock. which you love a 7 o'clock and then a turnaround to 4 o'clock. That's stupid. And then the boys will be back home again the following weekend after that. But looking forward to those games against the Monsters. Those are always fun. We always play really well in Cleveland lately. So I'm excited to see what those games look like, but their roster's gotten slightly better too. So it should be interesting. But stay tuned for all the following coverage of that. Stay tuned for hopefully a Toledo Walleye episode that Nick and Travis will figure out while I'm on vacation this week. Nick looks scared that I said that now, realizing he has to do it again this week. Sorry, buddy. But stay tuned for that one. And until we talk again, as always, go Griffins, go Walleye.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod and your hosts, Nick at GR Hockey Guy, Brandon at Brandon GR Hockey, and Travis at Trav in T-Town.